My brothers and sisters, the encounter between Jesus and the Canaanite woman is one of the most challenging and beautiful moments in the gospel. At first glance, Jesus' words sound troubling. It is not right to take the food of the children and throw it to the dogs. In our world today, where divisions are sharp and sensitivities are high, such language will be unacceptable, and rightly so, because Jesus, who embodies the love of God, will never demean a human being. So what is happening here? The key is to understand the cultural climate of Jesus' time. Jews and Gentiles lived with long-standing tensions, biases, and inherited prejudices. Calling Gentiles dogs was a common insult of the day. It was a stereotype passed down from generation to generation. Jesus knew this. He grew up in that culture. And in this moment, Jesus appears to confront a common cultural narrative, not by avoiding it, but by voicing it and allowing the woman's remarkable faith to overturn it. It appears Jesus intentionally brought a common prejudice into the open so that it could be overcome. Jesus' words should not be read as a personal insult to the woman. He seems to be exposing a narrative that needed to be healed. And the woman responds in a way that teaches us something very profound. She does not react with anger. She does not return insult for insult. She does not fall back on her own cultural biases. Instead, she engages Jesus with reason, humility, and persistence. She reframes the narrative and she says, even the dogs eat the scraps that fall from the table. She turns a negative into a positive. She refuses to let a stereotype define her worth or block her access to God. And Jesus affirms her courage. And he says to her, "O woman, great is your faith." This gospel today is not about exclusion. It is about transformation. It could be seen as Jesus challenging a deeply rooted cultural perception from within his own society. And it is also about a woman who refuses to let inherited prejudice stop her from seeking God. This lesson is urgently needed today. We live in a world engulfed by wars, clashes, and conflicts between nations and peoples. Many of these conflicts did not begin with the people fighting them now. They are fueled by prejudices passed down from parents to children, from one generation to the next. Some are told from childhood that those people are our enemies without ever knowing why. If you ask someone who hates another culture or nation why they do so, often they have no personal reason. They are simply responding to a prejudice they inherited. This generational hate is one significant factor behind many conflicts consuming our world today. Someone needs to stop the transmission of this prejudice from the inside. Parents, leaders, Christians must confront these narratives and refuse to pass them on. This is one way of understanding what Jesus is doing in this encounter. He confronted a deeply rooted cultural assumption and ultimately reveal that God's mercy extends beyond ethnic and cultural boundaries by healing the woman's daughter that was considered an outsider. We see similar patterns in our own communities. I'm originally from Nigeria, and in Nigeria, some families still tell their children they cannot marry someone from another tribe. No one remembers how the rule started, but it continues. This is the same all over the world. Blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asians, families of every background can pass on fears and stereotypes about other groups. Sometimes these warnings arise from genuine historical pain. Sometimes they arise from inherited prejudice. Either way, Christians are called to let Christ heal what history has wounded. We can learn history without keeping its wounds alive. We can learn history by healing its pains. In the book of Acts, chapter 10, verse 28, reminds us of Peter's awakening. Peter says, God had shown me that I should not call any person profane or unclean. If we Christians believe Christ died for everyone, then no one is a dog. No one is inferior. No one is outside God's love, as Christ has shown us in the gospel today. Jesus' encounter with the Canaanite woman teaches us that faith can come from anywhere and that God's grace is not bound by human prejudice. It teaches us that harmful narratives can be confronted and changed. And it teaches us that sometimes the healing of a culture begins with one person, one parent, one leader, one Christian, who decides not to pass on a story that divides. The woman in our gospel today wanted God more than pride, more than cultural acceptance, more than social comfort. In her heart, if embracing God meant being called a dog, then so be it. Just give me God. That's all she wanted. Her courage changed the narrative. Jesus affirmed her faith, and the gospel invites us to do the same, to confront harmful perceptions, repair them from the inside, and see every person as a child of God.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Homily Highlights, where each week we feature a homily from one of the many masses celebrated throughout the Catholic Diocese of Dallas. Homily Highlights is a production of the Texas Catholic Voices of Faith podcast in cooperation with the Diocese of Dallas Office of Communications.